Skip, home court has been a bugaboo for them all season, especially in the playoffs. They're 5-6 at home. They're 6-3 on the road.
5-6 at home?
Yeah, in the Boston Garden. We know what that place used to be, a house of horrors. Everybody hated to play there, let alone a Game 7. Tatum got hurt early, and it looked pretty serious, and he was unable to fight through it. And, yeah, he had, 14 points last night on 5 of 13 shooting, played almost 42 minutes. He never looked the same. Everything seemed to be labored. Everything seems to be grimacing, Skip. And then when he got hurt, their second superstar was unable to pick it up. Jaylen Brown has turned into a turnover machine. And I asked him last year, don't work on your shot, work on your handles. Skip, I found somebody that has a worse handle than Russell Westbrook. I don't think you can debate that anymore, Skip Bayless. And it's not like he's trying to, Skip, you know, sometimes James Harden turn the ball over, Skip, because he's trying things. Yeah. He's trying to thread a needle in a haystack. I mean, it's like, I got to get this, I got to get this. Skip, it's routine. He's trying to go between his legs like a high schooler, like a middle schooler. And the ball kicks off his foot and it's going the other way. He tries to go behind his back. The ball kicks off his heel and it's going the other way. I'm like, bro, are you serious right now? You're an NBA player, a second-team All-NBA player, and you have middle school handles. Excuse me. No.
You're worked up over there.
I am, because I'm looking. You have two superstars. And if one doesn't have it going, you think the other should be able to bring you home.
Yeah.
But he was terrible last night, Skip. Jaylen Brown shot 8 of 23, 1 of 9. And Skip, we talked about it the other day, was like, do we think they're going to go, 1 for 14, 1 for 15 again from the 3? Yep. That's exactly what they did. They went 2 for 13 this time from 3. They shot a combined 13 of 36. That won't get it done. And it seems to, like, once Miami got that lead, Boston started to feel the pressure, and they started to constrict them tighter and tighter. And then Miami did a great job, Skip. They were jumping, they play man, and then they jump into that zone. They play zone, and then they jump into the man. And if StatSync says the Celtics scored just 19 points on 34 zone possessions last night. I'm going to give Miami a lot of credit because they took the Celtics out of what they wanted to do, but their big guns didn't show up last night. And that's what you need to happen in a Game 7. Skip, the auxiliary players, Derek White played pretty well. He's about the only guy that I can say played well last night, Skip. But Jaylen Brown with them turnovers, Skip, I'm talking about uncharacteristic. I'm like, bro, how do you turn the ball over this much? Routinely going between your legs, trying to go behind your back. Like I said, Skip, the guy's a second-team All-NBA player. Shouldn't you have at least handles to match that? Shouldn't you have NBA handles? No, everybody ain't going to have Kyrie handles. Everybody's not going to have Rod Strickland, guys that can just pat the rock and Skip, sit down with it and come up because Isaiah Thomas. But at least you should have NBA handles. There's no one that can tell me that Jaylen Brown has NBA handles, considering he's a second-team All-NBA player. It was an awful performance last night by a team that fought so hard to get back in it. And you have Game 7 on your court. Skip, and the game was really never close. Skip, if we lose like how they lost Game 6, a tip in by Jimmy Butler, somebody late shot, Skip. You like, you know what? Hey, we fall hard. We just got an unlucky bounce. Skip, this game wasn't close. It wasn't close.
It was for a while, but we'll get to that in a second.
Once they got that thing to double digits, the closest they could get it back again was 8. And then it went from 8 to 13 to 20 plus. And then at that point in time, it was trying, okay, let me get home. I got work tomorrow. I can beat the traffic.
Agreed. Okay, you got that out of your system. It is my turn. I would, first off, before I get to all of your points, like to congratulate the Miami Heat because that is what I call a basketball team. With a basketball coach who, to your point of yesterday, they spilled their guts in Game 6. They got their guts ripped right out of them by a last tenth of a second shot. Foul shot by Derek White off a miss on Marcus Smart that should have ended the game and the series. And they picked themselves back up off the mat in ways my Spurs back in 2013 couldn't after the Ray Allen shot, even though my Spurs played a pretty good Game 7. You could just tell it was half-hearted because they got shot in the heart by Ray Allen last night.
But at least, Skip, your Spurs got the overtime.
They did.
Skip, that was, and you was like, okay, still, we got 5 minutes, we could do something. Oh, that Derek White, it's over. There's nothing else you can do.
Okay. Eric Spoelstra went right in that locker room after Game 6 and said, we can and will do this. Jimmy Butler was right there by his side. We can and we will do this. And they went up to Boston Garden, and they did something that was so dear to the heart of one Pat Riley, who is the godfather of this franchise. And as Coach Spo said after the game, that it was very important because he said Pat feels a certain way about Boston from all those years in L.A. with the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. So Spo said, I make sure everybody feels a certain way about Boston. That's my job, part of my job as the caretaker. So Spo is calling himself the caretaker because he knows the coach of the coach is that guy.
Yeah.
So they have both a brain trust featuring Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, and because of that, they have created a culture that, to me, is just stronger than the Boston culture that has had back-to-back first-year rookie head coaches.
Yeah, you might have to put it up there with Golden State. Skip, can I ask you this? Are we sure Spo ain't the best coach in the NBA? Are we sure that's not the case? Because how many other coaches could have got this team to where he's got it?
Asserting himself as that, because we are looking at the first 8 seed to ever make the finals in a full season. Right. The 99 Knicks did it in a 50-game strike-shortened season. So the first full season, 82-game team to get through was this team as an 8 seed. The first play-in team to get through was this team, and it almost lost. It did lose the first playing game and almost lost the second.
They were 3 minutes away.
Yes, to your Chicago Bulls that you loved at that moment. It is extraordinary what they just pulled off. But just as extraordinarily wrong is the fact that Boston in Game 6 shot its worst three-point percentage of the entire season, including the playoffs. That was in 101 games. They shot the worst from 3 in Game 6 and lived to tell about it. Last night, they scored by far their lowest point total of the entire 102-game season, and they did not live to tell about it because they lived and they died by the 3. Miami mostly died by the 3 during the regular season because they finished 27th in three-point shooting during the regular season. And then look what just happened in this series, shall we? Would you believe that I'm talking about for 7 games? Right. Boston in 7 games shot 30% from 3. That's not very good. No. Miami for 7 games shot 43% as a team from 3. That's extraordinary.
The likelihood you shouldn't even go 7 games. You shooting that good from 3.
You should not. But here's the essence of this. They attempted 62 fewer threes in 7 games than Boston did. 62 fewer. And they made 8 more. Well, do the math on that. You're going to lose at some point because it's just too many missed threes, right? Now, your 2 big guns, Jason Tatum, from 3 in this series was 23%. He was 11 of 47. Man, that's a lot of misses. You missed 36 three-point shots in 7 games. In 7 games, Jaylen Brown shot 16% from 3. That's 7 of 43. You missed 36. So they each missed 36 threes. It's impossibly wrong, right? Okay.
So 72 combined misses between the 2 guns. Right.
And now, back to your turnover point. For the whole series, for 7 games, Jason Tatum had 26, and Jaylen Brown, thanks to 8 last night, had 25. So you're hammering on one guy, but they are the turnover twins.
Yes.
That they turn it over as a twosome the way nobody has ever turned it over because, remember, for the whole playoffs, they finished 1-2 in turnovers, but Jaylen Brown last night eclipsed Jason Tatum. Right. Last year, you'll recall, Jason Tatum for the whole run, and obviously they went through 6 finals games, had 100 turnovers. It was 23 more than number 2 on the list, which was Jaylen Brown.
Right.
So I give you, Jaylen Brown has shaky handles, but Jason Tatum has shaky sort of basketball IQ where he's just like, what are you doing? Right. What are you doing? You're losing the handle. You're losing the handle. It doesn't look as ugly as the Jaylen Browns did last night, but it is high volume turnovers. It's hard when your 2 stars turn it over that much and miss each 36 threes in 7 games. You're going to lose. You
got to pick a stat to be bad in. Either you're going to shoot bad and you're going to take care of the basketball, or you're going to turn the basketball over and you're going to shoot good. But you can't be both. You can't be bad in both categories, Skip, because this is what will happen to you in a Game 7 on your home court.
All right, thank you. Now, to your point about it wasn't even close. I want you to focus on the early game, because on Twitter, I was out of my mind because it felt like Miami was begging to get blown out. I'm talking about right out of the chute.
Yeah, you're talking about the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game.
First 3 or 4 minutes. Would you believe that Miami went 2 of 11 to start the game?
Yeah.
2 of 11 up there in Boston?
Yep.
That crowd was crazed. By all accounts, by everybody there, all the TNT guys said, there's never been anything, Boston, like the sound of this crowd, that it was a college-style crowd before tip-off. 2 of 11 to start the game. Shannon, it got to 9-4. And it stuck on 9-4 because multiple times Boston had a chance to blow it open at 9-4. If you make it 12-4, if you make it 15-4, help me out. Is it possible Miami finally just says, no mas, you got us? Is it possible the crowd would have screamed the Heat right off the floor and out the door? It's possible. So I'm going to show you what happened as the Heat were going 2 for their first 11, because this is where you lost the game, because you've got multiple chances. I'm going to show you 4 straight trips in which Boston had the basketball up 9-4 as the Heat are going 2 for 11. This starts with 7:48. If we could see this, this is the first possession, and it's Marcus Smart, bad idea, turnover, and Caleb Martin snaked it. And then we got another shot here. This is Derek White's 3, and it lipped out. And then we got another one. This is Jaylen Brown, had a little layup. I don't know, he just gagged it at the rim. And then another 3 from Marcus Smart, a little long. Shannon, I just showed you 4 straight opportunities to blow it open.
Yes.
Crowds on the edge, they're standing with every shot. They're coming up out of their seats. Right. And you blew all 4 chances. And then guess what? Gabe Vincent makes a little jumper, a little 19-footer, and you say, oh, well, now it's 9-6. And then Jimmy Butler finally makes a little shot, just a little mid-range jumper, and you say, oh, wait a second, it's 9-8. And then I'm going to show you another shot. Max Strus finally makes a 3. This is with 3:28 left in the first quarter. I'm going to show you this one. Max Strus from 3. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what's about to happen? He goes straight up into the shot and ripped it. That made it 13-11 Miami. That was their first lead, and that was it. That was it. That was actually game over. Yeah. This is 3:28 left in the first quarter. And if you had told me sitting on my couch, way down in the flats, way down below where you live, if you'd tapped me on the shoulder and said, guess what, the game's over, I would have laughed out loud because I would have said, stop it. You just jinxed me.
Yeah, but you showed Boston went in the first quarter 0 for 10.
Yep.
They shot
0 for 10 from 3. From 3, yes, from 3.
They shot 26% from the floor.
Yep.
They made 4 of their first 6 shots, and then they missed 4 of their next 23 shots. Well, Skip, if you go 8 for 29, I mean, in a game 7 and you're at home, now because, Skip, you start to feel the antipathy. You start to feel the pressure of what's at stake. We're in a game 7. We fought back. We were down 0-3. We tied it up. We're in front of our crowd. So that's why you got to be careful. Oh, that crowd's going to be electric. But the crowd can't play. You have to give the crowd something to cheer about. It, like you said, they're ready to come out of their seat. They just want one shot to go in. They want 1 3 to go in, and the roof is going to come out the place.
Agreed.
And it was just brick after brick after brick after turnover after turnover. And the next thing you know, Miami's looking around like, oh, they don't want this game.
Yep. Okay. So in the biggest picture, remember what I told you yesterday. There's a syndrome that operates in sports, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've encountered it infrequently, but dramatically. And it's the everybody thinks syndrome. And when everybody thinks, everybody in the known sports world thinks that this is going to happen, the opposite happens. Right. That was classic last night. Everybody thinks. We did scale of 1 to 10 yesterday. How confident are you that the Celtics are going to win this? And you said, give me a number above 10. Okay.
Yes.
And I got you. And I was pretty shaky on it. I said, I still like the Heat, but I don't love their who would love their chances? Right. So they averaged at Boston being an 8.5-point underdog in the 4 games. They won 3 out of the 4. But the shocker is they won Game 7 at Boston against a team that clearly was more talented than they are. Clearly it's deeper than they are. Clearly it's bigger and longer than they are. And what happened? They out-basketballed them. They shot it better.
Yes.
They passed it better. They protected the ball better.
They defended better.
They defended better. They took charges better. They did blah, blah. All the little things added up to one big thing.
And Bam, I'm looking at Bam, I say, somebody need to check Bam's bank account. Because ain't no way in hell that man missing 2 feet shot after 2 feet shot after 2 foot shot like that, Skip.
I agree with you to the point where over the last 5 games of this series, seriously, and we're going to talk about what's upcoming with Denver.
Right.
Over the last 5 games, I thought both Jimmy Butler and Bam were not very good for 5 straight games. And out of nowhere came Caleb Martin.
Yes.
He's in his 2nd year with the Miami Heat. He's 27 years of age. He rattled around in the G League for Charlotte and then finally for Miami.
Right.
So last year, would you believe, remember it was Game 7 last year in the Eastern Conference Finals at Miami.
Yeah, he DNP'd.
He DNP'd. He did not play a lick last year because they had P.J. Tucker.
Right.
So Tuck is on the court getting the minutes that you would now give to Caleb Martin.
Correct.
Where would this team have been over the last 5 games without Caleb Martin?
Right.
Which is why, and we'll get deeper into this in a few minutes, but I told you yesterday, I said, if they win this, I think Caleb Martin ought to be the MVP.
Bad bird winner.
And you can make the case that he should have been, because how many big shots did he take and make last night where you said, whew, that's too good and that's too good.
Yeah, because early on, Skip, you're right. In the first quarter, he was 3 of 7, 1 or 2. He had 7 points.
Yeah.
And then at the half, I mean, he did it. I mean, he played well. Like you said, we're going to get into it.
Okay, but he became an extra star that was a difference maker for them on both ends of the court, because he's getting his hands on balls.
Yes.
He's playing
He had 10 rebounds.
Yeah, and then this is what got me about the 4th quarter last night. 4th quarter of Game 7, it's still going into the 4th quarter. You thought, oh, Boston will probably make a run here. I thought Jason Tatum would finally just say, heck with my ankle, I'm just going to do this. Would you believe that Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, 2 principal rotation players, played 0 minutes in the 4th quarter? You know why? Because Coach Spo decided, I'm going with Kyle Lowry, who's been there and done all this before because he won the title, obviously, with Kawhi in Toronto. And I'm going to play Duncan Robinson. You're going to play Duncan Robinson the whole 4th quarter. They played 12 minutes. No Strus, no Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent scored 29 points in, what was it, Game 3, right?
Yes,
Game 3.
yes,
and then he turned his ankle, right?
Missed Game 4, play Game 5. Yeah.
Okay. So, and it got so crazy to me that Duncan Robinson is out there making both of his shots in the 4th quarter. And check this out. He makes it after he got loose for a layup. Then he runs up the court. If we could see this, he gets loose. It was a good pass from Bam. Bam led them.
It should have been on 1.
Look what he's doing. Duncan Robinson is saying, I can't hear you anymore. I can't hear you, Boston.
It should have been an and 1, too.
Yeah, it should have been what? But still, that pretty much just capped it off, where you just said, okay, game over.
But you saw early on, Skip, Boston started looking for calls that never came. Every time you see Jaylen Brown here.
Yeah.
And you saw Jason Tatum here.
Yeah,
and they're looking at the official, and Scott Foster, Tony Brothers, John Goble wasn't given to him. Skip, you mentioned the 4th quarter. I'm going to turn it back over to you. They shot 2 of 14. Boston shot 2 of 14 from 3. That's 14%. They shot 8 of 23 from the floor. That's 35%. Well, on the meanwhile, the Heat was 11 of 16. Can I interest you in 69%? They were 2 of 4 from 3.
Yep.
That's 50%.
It's just
That's why you can't put a dent in the...
Slam the door. Okay, now, full circle back to Jason Tatum. I felt for the kid, and he's still a kid to me, even though he just finished 7 years in the league. He turned his ankle on Gabe Vincent. It's the first play of the game. He stayed out there, to his credit, but to not his credit, you just have to tough it out. And if nothing else, you got to figure out, what can I do on this ankle that I usually can still do if my feet are on the floor? Well, he can still shoot threes.
Yeah.
Maybe I can make 5 or 6 threes. Nope, it didn't happen.
No, he wasn't shooting no threes in this series.
Okay, all right. So he did get you 11 rebounds, which led the team. And you can live with that because he stayed out there. But, Shannon, it got so bad, he is crying on every play.
Yeah.
And finally, Tony Brothers, and listen, you don't mess with Tony Brothers. You don't antagonize him. There's a line, and it was in the 1st quarter, but he got into his face, and Tony Brothers got right back in Jason Tatum's face and said, that is enough from you. And yet he whines and cries on every play. He's better than that. If you're that guy, he made first team twice in a row, first team All-NBA. Jaylen Brown made second team All-NBA. And since the All-Star break, he was one of the top scorers. He's averaging 30 points a game, okay? And Derek White made second team all defense. And Malcolm Brogdon made sixth man of the year. You've got all kinds of accolades and firepower. And yet, everywhere I look, they're whining and they're complaining and they're crying. I just no. It's because they know that team is a better basketball team and they're taking them all apart.
But Skip, you could see early on, I tweeted, I say, you're literally going to have to break somebody's arm to get a foul call. They're not going to get the ticket.
They just let them go.
They let them play.
Who did that?
Okay, Skip, so now I understand that. Okay, this is what you're going to do? Y'all going to let us play?
Yeah.
I'm going to play like that.
At one point, Bam banged into Marcus Smart, and he flopped, but he's a good flopper.
Right.
And they both look around like, nothing.
You think Scott Foster like, get up?
Just go. And Bam's like standing at the free throw line. Just shoot it.
Yeah.
And he's like, nothing? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was.
Whew. What a night.
It's playoff basketball. I love it.
Especially
I love
game
it.
7.